I'm a biology major and chemistry minor from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm really excited to study in the new state-of-the-art science building. I'm mostly excited about the new lab and the new technology that we got in, which will help me further my research with my professors and on my own. I would also like to thank everyone who donated and contributed to making this building possible and allowing me to further my education in the biology field.
Hi, I'm Emily Spillers, a biology major from Scranton, Arkansas. This new building will give me the opportunity for state-of-the-art research and new experiences within the classroom. My favorite part of the building is the new cadaver in the anatomy and physiology lab. I would like to thank all the donors who have contributed to make this building possible.
My name is Benjamin Storms. I'm a biology major and chemistry minor from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm really excited to study in the new state-of-the-art science building. I'm mostly excited about the new lab and the new technology that we got in, which will help me further my research with my professors and on my own. I would also like to thank everyone who donated and contributed to making this building possible and allowing me to further my education in the biology field.
Hi, I'm Emily Spillers, a biology major from Scranton, Arkansas. This new building will give me the opportunity for state-of-the-art research and new experiences within the classroom. My favorite part of the building is the new cadaver in the anatomy and physiology lab. I would like to thank all the donors who have contributed to make this building possible.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Storms. I'm a biology major and chemistry minor from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm really excited to study in the new state-of-the-art science building. I'm mostly excited about the new lab and the new technology that we got in, which will help me further my research with my professors and on my own. I would also like to thank everyone who donated and contributed to making this building possible and allowing me to further my education in the biology field. Biology major and chemistry minor from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm really excited to study in the new state-of-the-art science building. I'm mostly excited about the new lab and the new technology that we got in, which will help me further my research with my professors and on my own. I would also like to thank everyone who donated and contributed to making this building possible and allowing me to further my education in the biology field.
Hi, I'm Emily Spillers, a biology major from Scranton, Arkansas. This new building will give me the opportunity for state-of-the-art research and new experiences within the classroom. My favorite part of the building is the new cadaver in the anatomy and physiology lab. I would like to thank all the donors who have contributed to make this building possible.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the University of the Ozarks. Today at Ozarks is quite literally one for the generations. And it is in a joyous fact a celebration of the generations. I'm told this isn't on yet. Well, cool. We'll start that again. How's that? I'm like, today at Ozarks is quite literally one for the generations, and it is a joyous fact, a celebration of the generations. Considering the gravity and magnitude of today, a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, I'm going to take a few minutes and set the stage. That's code for get comfortable. I'm going to talk for a few minutes. My name is Rich Dunsworth, and I am proud and humbled and honored to be the 25th president of the University of the Ozarks. And I don't know what more than humbled is to welcome you to today. Today we have the opportunity to formally dedicate the Thomas and Frances Wilson Science Center on the University of the Ozarks campus in honor of Frances and in memory of her late and beloved husband, Tommy. I'm pleased to tell you that Mrs. Wilson is watching this ceremony live with the university team members, specifically Steve Edmiston, Special Assistant to the President, and Brent Burks, who's a member of our Board of Trustees, from her home in Tulsa. As a longtime Ozarks advocate, Steve Edmiston says of Frances, she has a tremendous bias towards positive action. Indeed, she does. Just 4 years ago, Ozarks set out to achieve a 20-year, campus-wide, board-approved strategic facilities plan that was and is, shall we say, ambitious. At the time, many tended to use words like daunting, maybe even unrealistic, rather than ambitious. The very thing that tilted these dreamed-of goals to the side of daunting was that the building we are formally opening today would cost in excess of $18 million. Far and away the largest capital construction project in Ozarks history. Yet here we are, just 4 years later. Because of Frances Wilson's undaunting, holding an intense interest in how Ozarks could best help young men and women achieve their educational dreams, she possessed a tremendous bias for positive action. She'd say things like, "What's next? Let's get to work." And when Frances says, "Let's get to work," you put your hard hat on, because she's going to put her resources where her mouth is. And let's just say that more than $7 million serves as quite a catalyst. Thank you, Frances. Let me tell you a little bit about Frances. Frances and Tommy were married in 1942 in the Naval Academy Chapel in Annapolis, Maryland, where Tommy attended the U.S. Naval Academy. Shortly thereafter, he received his commission and began service as a gunnery officer and then an executive officer of the Fletcher-class destroyer, the USS Fulham. Tommy served in numerous battle engagements in the Pacific throughout the remainder of World War II. Following the war, the Wilsons returned to Tulsa, where Tommy went to work as an engineer for Warren Petroleum Company, where he worked until he retired. The Wilsons raised 2 children in Tulsa, Douglas and Pamela, and when they were growing up, Frances, having studied writing, speech, drama, and radio broadcasting at the University of Iowa, well, she became a full-time novelist, ultimately having 20 of her works commercially published. If you'd like to see them, there are first editions under lock and key in the chapel. The Wilsons were founding members of John Knox Presbyterian Church in Tulsa. Tommy and Frances became acquainted with Ozarks through our lifetime trustee, Richard, otherwise known as Dick Bagwell, and his wife, Kay. Inspired by Ozarks' mission of educational service and a Presbyterian tradition, the Wilsons have since established multiple scholarships. They've endowed programs of support for Ozarks students. They went on to fund the complete renovation of the Munger Wilson Memorial Chapel, the construction of the Wilson Family Plaza in 2015, and today, the Thomas and Frances Wilson Science Center stands as a testament to the Wilsons' enduring love for one another, their deep faith in God, and their desire to help young men and women achieve their educational dreams. The story of Frances, who will turn 100 on July 31st, well, the story of Frances and Tommy, their life together reads like a segment from a Tom Brokaw special. Some of you may remember his special, The Greatest Generation. Frances, you and Tommy indeed exemplify our nation's greatest generation. Thank you. You and Tommy are deeply loved on this campus, and your legacy will live on in the lives of young men and women for generations to come. As Frances learned more about the need to renovate and expand the Science Center, she was moved by stories of those in Ozarks past who had built and carried our science program so far. She was inspired by the grit and determination of legendary science professor Dr. T.L. Prof. Smith and the generosity of Dr. Alvin C. Broyles, class of 1941, for whom the Science Center in that iteration was named. Frances wanted to make sure that in honoring her together, she would do no harm to the memories of the others who had previously provided support and leadership. And so it is with delight that I tell you or share with you that the bright new marvel of the modern science, research, architecture, engineering, and construction, the Thomas and Frances Wilson Science Center, will house the Smith-Broyle Science Program. I'd like to express special thanks to Prof. and Lois Smith's daughter, Ozarks alumna and former trustee Susan Smith Epperson, for her support of and for Mrs. Wilson's work. And here we are. Find ourselves discussing the events of this day and of all those leading up to it in terms of generations. To each generation comes their generation's time to lead. For institutions with the depth and breadth of history of Ozarks, this reliance on each of at least a dozen generations has grown into profound reverence. Consider this: just 12 years from now, in less than a single generation's time, Ozarks will celebrate her 200th birthday. 2 years before the state of Arkansas can make the same claim. As we eye that historic occasion in the years beyond, we do so in full knowledge that this generation, our generation now, today, belongs well and fully in the pantheon of those who came before us. It seems miraculous, yet also fitting, that that accomplishment would happen in spite of a worldwide pandemic. Virtually all of the money was raised, the facility design, construction began and completed while the pandemic's uncertainty, volatility, and fear lurked around us. As our nation and world continue to fight this insidious, seemingly ever-changing threat, it is particularly appropriate that it is our science program that is being elevated so high right now. Ozarks has long been respected for the quality of its science program, the quality of its graduate. Just think what they'll be able to do and learn now and in years to come. access to the finest classrooms with high-end digital interactive media, academic office configuration that supports faculty collaboration, collaborative learning between and among faculty and staff. And when it comes to putting theory into practice or a hypothesis to a test, our students now have the resources of many more specialized laboratories at their fingertips. Laboratories specifically designed and equipped for the following areas: general chemistry, organic chemistry, biology, microbiology, genetics, molecular biology, human anatomy, anatomy physiology, exercise physiology, ecology, environmental science, and psychology. It is a great day. It is a great day for the generations here at the University of the Ozarks. At this time, I'd like to invite to the podium to offer an invocation the Reverend Jeremy Wilhelm.
Usually I wear a tie and a dress shirt, but this occasion I couldn't help but to come to this event wearing my favorite element shirt. Argon is my favorite element. It's a gas, and it doesn't react with anything. It just exists. And it's a snooty gas, and 1% of our atmosphere is made up of argon. So the 1% of the breath you just took is made up of argon, and when you breathe that breath out, the same 1% of argon comes out of your breath. Nothing changes. So if you think about it, the same breath of argon you just breathed in was once breathed in by your parents, by your grandparents. People like Ben Franklin and Amelia Earhart, Albert Einstein, Joan of Arc, and Jesus Christ. Those same argon molecules you breathed in were once even breathed in by the dinosaurs. We are all connected by argon through time and space. And I share that brief science lesson with you before I pray because God's creation is worth exploring. God gave us minds and expects us to use them. So my hope is that through this building and the exploration of the sciences, we will continue to discover just how connected all aspects of God's creation are with one another. And with that said, let us pray. Holy and gracious God, your word says that if anyone is in Christ, there is a new creation. Everything old has passed away, and see, everything has become new. And Lord, while I know this is true of people, when I stand and look at this building, what it once was and what it is now, I cannot help to think that this is true for what the faithful can build in service to others. We stand before you today, Lord, in awe and in thanksgiving of the new creation that is before us. We give you thanks that you called the university, its alumni, its friends, and partners to climb higher and invest in this institution to create a generation of bold new thinkers with the skills and knowledge to lead in a changing world. We pray that the Thomas and Frances Wilson Science Center gives this institution the ability to do just that in the years to come, in the lives of generations to come. We pray as students enter this building each school day that their passion for learning will increase, that discoveries will be made, that bonds will be made, both molecular bonds and bonds made among classmates and faculty, and that through it all, lives will be changed. We give you thanks, Lord, for the many generous hearts who climbed higher so that we can celebrate this day. We thank you for the gift of generosity that calls us not to hoard our abundance, but to use it to bless others with new creation and new connections. May the generosity of those who help make this day possible inspire all of us to live generous lives. Loving God, bless these halls and classrooms, labs and offices, and bless the faculty who will teach in them. Bless the staff who will provide support, and bless the students who come to Ozarks and will use this space as they seek to learn and grow and live a full life. We pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to welcome someone to the stage. There's a small typo in the program. Since they were printed, she became Dr. Gloria Arcia. Something that she tells me I don't have to call her doctor, but for those of you in the room that are, you know it's kind of a big deal. So please welcome Dr. Gloria Arcia, the Vice President for Finance and Administration.
Well, good afternoon. I have had the pleasure and privilege to serve as the project manager for the university's Thomas and Francis Wilson Science Center. It is interesting to note that approximately 115 tons of structured steel has been used in this facility, 1,100 cubic feet of laid concrete, 45 tons of reinforced steel between those walls, and 32,000 linear feet, nearly 6 miles, of plumbing and mechanical piping within the walls of the building. Although, like any construction project, we've met some challenges, we've been met with some challenges, but our architects and construction crew have been our biggest champions, and they've helped us overcome each and every single one of them. We are grateful to our architects and the construction crew for working to make this amazing facility actually happen. We would like to take a few minutes to recognize and thank some of the teams that are here today. From the Kinko's constructors, Heath Ray, Director of Pre-Construction, Chase Taylor, Senior Project Manager, Eric Zviers, Superintendent, Melissa Roach, Project Coordinator, Daniel Byers, Assistant Superintendent, Rob Hillman, Business Development. From the Credo team, Kevin Rowling, he's the Vice President for Campus Planning and Architecture and owner. Don Rowling, Director of Design, Senior Architect and Principal. We also wish to thank our city and community representatives for the support and work they did to help us complete this beautiful project. State Representative Aaron Pilkington, City Representatives Herman Houston, Class of '73, County Judge, Cody Graham, City Inspector. From the Chamber of Commerce, Jessica Gunn, Executive Director, and Carly Swartz, Class of '18, Downtown Director. I also wish to recognize the university staff that were instrumental to helping with this project. Donnie Frost, Class of '92. Jeremy Renfro, Lisa Innes Grubas, Class of '93. Our housekeeping and maintenance staff. Vicky Alston, Class of '86. Greg Stone, Bradley Thompson, Class of '21. Jessica Baumgartner. And finally, the countless student workers that help clean, move furniture and different items into the building. Thank you all for your hard work.
Senator Stubblefield, I see you over there too, so thank you. I'd like to introduce the Vice President for Advancement and Alumni Engagement. Please know that over the last 6 years, Lori and her staff have raised more than $73 million to support this institution, including the $18.4 million that funded this project. Please welcome Vice President McBee.
Good afternoon. It's so great to see everybody here today. We're so glad you're with us. On April 19th, 1969, the Science Center was first dedicated and named in honor of Dr. T.L. Smith, also known as Prof. Smith. Prof. Smith was a distinguished gentleman and scholar who gave 54 years of service to the University of the Ozarks. Initial funding for the science building came through a grant from the federal government under the Higher Education Facilities Act. Matching funds were also donated by the United Presbyterian Church, USA, and Governor Winthrop Rockefeller. Move ahead 29 years, on October 20th, 1996, the Science Center was rededicated and named in honor of Dr. T.L. Smith and Dr. Alvin C. Broyles, class of 41. The building was known as the Smith-Broyles Science Center. Dr. Broyles was retired senior research associate for Exxon Production Research Company in Houston, Texas. Dr. Broyles received an honorary Doctor of Science from Ozarks in 1979. He also served the University of the Ozarks as chairman of the Board of Trustees, chairman of the Life Endowment Campaign in 1986, and as a member of the Bridging the Century Campaign Committee. Here we are today, April 9th, 2022, dedicating the Science Center named in honor of Thomas and Frances Wilson, who are dear friends of this university. This beautiful building will provide a place for learning, exploring, and interaction. Many of our students will succeed, some may fail, but all will learn new ways to view the world. Many will spend countless nights and weekends working on a project, never leaving the building until that last equation or experiment has been completed. The university's Board of Trustees will continue to honor the tremendous contribution of Prof. Smith and Dr. Broyles by naming the science program as the Smith-Broyles Science Program. A wonderful opportunity has been provided for Ozarks and her students by Mrs. Wilson and so many other donors, many who are here today. Thank you for your love and trust in Ozarks. Thank you all for being here.
This time I want to take a few minutes and talk about some of the other folks that have helped make this possible. As you have the opportunity to visit this new educational wonder, be that today or at some other point, you will see numerous recognitions of those who joined with the Wilsons to make it a reality. Please take time to give thanks for the caring generosity of so many who have shared of their personal resources to provide these amazing things to our faculty and us students. As you walk, I hope you take special note of some names. Names like Walton, names like Maybe, Walker, Patterson. Names like Donabauer, Bruning, Black, Bork, Wilkinson, Workman. Names like Sunderland, Hearst, the University Alumni Association, the Arkansas Embry Program. Names like Boast, Bird, Rawhauser. Names like Johnson, Powell, Overholt, and yes, the name Wilson. All of these names representing the latest generation of philanthropic champions for the Ozarks mission. These and many, many other precious, caring individuals, families, and groups have achieved this for the current and future students of Ozarks. To all who have helped make this happen, we salute you, we thank you, and we count you among the legends of Ozarks. I tagged this address this morning as Generations, and it seems only appropriate that I invite someone that represents a generational connection to offer some comments. To give you context, we've talked about the building. As part of it, we also did the walkway and the new space in the center. All of that work was done by an Ozarks alumnus, Mr. Ben Powell. I believe he was here. And why is that a generational connection? He's leaning up over there. Why is that a generational connection? as an alumnus. Well, now his father, Mike Powell, serves on the Board of Trustees and has also been a part of this project. So I'd like to invite Mike to come up and offer some comments at this time.
Thank you, Rich. I'm here as a substitute, though. I need to confess that right up front. My wonderful wife, Susie Powell, made a contribution to this beautiful building in memory of her parents, Harry and Lois Hughes of White Deer, Texas. Susie couldn't be here today because she had knee surgery a couple of weeks ago, but she's watching on the live feed, and she wrote what she wanted me to say on her behalf about her parents. And so, very faithfully, I'm going to read her words to you today. Susie Powell, daughter of Harry and Lois Hughes, is proud to have the Human Anatomy Lab named for them. Harry Hughes was born here in Arkansas. Both her parents loved Arkansas. They spent as much time as possible with Harry's 10 brothers and sisters who loved the outdoors here, especially fishing and gardening. The love was passed on to Ben and his 3 children, Sylvia, Harry, and Ari, some of whom are here today. Their official schooling did not give them degrees, and Harry only completed the 6th grade. Lois moved many times during her public school years all over New Mexico and Texas. She learned to adapt and stand on her own 2 feet. She was really good at accounting and worked for many years as a superintendent's secretary at a school system. Susie describes her parents as curious, clever, and hardworking. They had the ability to make something out of nothing. They were eager learners who really wanted kids to take advantage of opportunities that came their way. Even in their older years, they were always known in the community where they lived as people to go to when you were in trouble and needed help. They were members of the greatest generation that Rich mentioned. During World War II, Susie's dad spent almost 3 years in North Africa in the United States Army Air Corps, where he worked to recover downed aircraft all over the Mediterranean. He could make anything work, put anything together, and he had the strength to keep going and to love those people he was with in North Africa around him. Susie's mother, Lois, was an artist. She could see how pieces of fabric could become a masterpiece. She loved reading and worked to build her own library, which we have inherited. When books were being cleared from their little town's high school library, she went to the trash and brought them home. She wanted to know why those books were unworthy of being kept in the library. The purpose of Susie's contribution in memory of her parents is to pass forward their curiosity, and I think that's probably what all of the donors today had in mind when they made a contribution to this beautiful facility. Ozarks is the perfect place to explore possibilities in this new science building, and Susie hopes that all the students have a great learning experience and a good time in the lab. Thank you, Rich.
I'd like to turn the mic over to a few other folks to offer some comments. First, in wearing a lot of different hats, but today representing alumni generally, but he's also a member of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Kendall Wagner, class of 2006. Dr. Wagner, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, President Dunworth and the administrative staff here at Ozarks for inviting me to come back home to speak at this event and to honor this building dedication. It does mean a lot. Sir Isaac Newton, one of the fathers of mathematics and science, is credited to have said, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants." 16 years ago, I stepped into classroom 101 of the Smith-Brule Science Building, far right corner of that building. A first-generation college student from a rural Scott County, Arkansas town. I had a dream that started in middle school, when as a 6th grader, I subscribed to the New England Journal of Medicine and set my sights on becoming a physician. That first class was Principles of Biology, taught by the late Dr. Doug Jeffries. Biology came alive during that course, and I was filled with the wonder and awe of living things. Then there was a young professor straight out of graduate school, Dr. Sean Coleman. He challenged me to think beyond my limits. He had a passion for research, and together we built a robust research program, doing gene knockouts and duplications with a put-together lab in an era when this technology was just budding, even at larger institutions and universities. With the generous donation of Dr. Helen McElry, we purchased a -80 freezer and the equipment to complete PCR amplification and electroporation, generating multiple cell lines studying the role of glutathione and oxidation. But I can't forget catching armadillos with nets and spotlights and the bottom of the Hartman Bottoms with my peers and Dr. Frank Knight, and housing them in the very back of the science building, studying fever response in those animals. In the very back of the building, Dr. Noel Robotham made the concepts of physics seem easy with hands-on demonstrations of resistance and capacitance. While upstairs, the smells of organic chemistry still stings the nostrils of my mind. Although the most educational experience may have been the educational outing to Post Wineries in Altus, where we were able to see and maybe experience the joys of organic chemistry live. Of course, I can't forget tucked away downstairs was the classroom of Mr. Stacy Key, in concepts of calculus that I swore I would never use after analytic chemistry, but I found that medical pharmacology brought those concepts to life. From these foundations, my education was built, a lot like the building that has risen these past several months. I was blessed to graduate from University of the Ozarks as a Urey Scholar with a bachelor's in biology and a minor in chemistry. I was able to go on to University of Arkansas for medical sciences, where I was prepared as any of my peers, graduating with honors and completing a combined residency in internal medicine and pediatrics, culminating with my time there as chief resident. For the last 8 years, I have been honored to return to the River Valley and practice primary care with patients, many of whom were my colleagues, even here at University of the Ozarks. This past January, my wife Kathy and I opened our independent clinic in the Chaffee Crossing area of Fort Smith, Arkansas, providing a personalized care experience that culminates my dream of becoming a physician that started back in 6th grade. Proverbs 4, 7, and 8 says, "Get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it costs you all you have, get understanding." My desire for this building is that the students that pass through these halls and classrooms will gain wisdom and understanding. From there, the foundations of their careers will be built. Thank you.
Well, it seems only appropriate, since you talked about catching armadillos, we hear from the man himself, Dr. Frank Knight.
On behalf of the science faculty, thank you, Francis Wilson, for inspiring so many people to help make this dream come true. I've been waiting 20 years for this one. And this past semester, with the supply line challenges slowing things down, I started to worry that I had committed some sort of sacrilege that was going to result in my getting to see the promised land but never get to move into it. But it's going to happen. Today, walking around the building, I can see it's ready for us. And it's really exciting. And I know my colleagues in the sciences are as excited as I am. It's a fabulous building. It's got, as the president mentioned, some specialized laboratories for the courses that are using those laboratories. As an example, Ruben Alleman and Amanda Yoa, Crystal, did you do anatomy? No, but you smelled anatomy. You smelled anatomy, and oh, Kendall was in my anatomy lab. When you probably remember, at least a few times we had to put box fans in the windows and door so as to defumigate so we could survive when the air conditioning wasn't working and we were gasping for air. The new anatomy lab has adjustable ventilation that you can crank up to replace all the air multiple times an hour. Can you imagine that? That's just amazing and exciting. We'll be able to breathe in anatomy lab. Lisa Grubeninus over there in the office, which was just down the hall, she appreciated anatomy as well down the hall, and maybe some of you in math or psychology classes appreciated anatomy more than you wanted to those days. Well, I don't think you'll notice anymore. It's a negative pressure room, so air doesn't leave it through the doors. So that's one of the specializations of this new fabulous building that I'm excited about. In addition, Kendall and Crystal and others of you who did research projects, do you remember where you had to do it? You had to do it around the class schedules because we had nowhere for you to do your research projects. We have 3 research labs now for students to set up experiments that they're going to do with faculty, and dedicated spaces for faculty-student research experiences. Really exciting. Kendall mentioned armadillos. Well, we had an animal room, and it was nice enough. The new one is exceptional with new amenities. It's got its own, what do I call it? Procedure room. Procedure room. Thank you, Kendall. It's got its own procedure rooms, so we don't have to sneak the armadillos out of the animal rooms into a classroom to do, you know, messy stuff. We can do it in the procedure room associated with the animal facility. It's not just a fabulous building, but it's fabulously equipped. It's not an empty space. It's got the equipment that students want, the faculty need to teach students with, from a $100,000 life-size synthetic cadaver in biology. And instead of our using the best microscopes we could afford, we have the best microscopes now. They are the premier student microscopes, equipped with cameras too, equipped with digital cameras. So that's going to be amazing and going to really transform teaching cell and microbiology. In chemistry, they've got nuclear magnetic resonance instrumentation. Ask a chemist, okay? But that is a technology that not all schools have to teach their students with, yet it's an essential, important tool in chemistry industry and in research. So it's an amazing building. I hope you'll come down the halls and look at it. And I am so thankful to Frances Wilson and all those she inspired to help make this dream come true. Thank you.
right, I don't get to see that side of Dr. Knight very often. To see him geeking out, I think that's a fair statement. So thanks, Frank. On behalf of the students, I'd like to invite Mr. Vicente Vesquez, class of 22, who will receive degrees in environmental studies and then with minors in arts, sustainable agriculture, and sociology. Vicente.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is an honor to be the student speaker to dedicate the Thomas and Francis Wilson Science Center. As a student, I know how impatient the student body is to see and explore the new facilities. You know, I hear a lot of comments about the new building. Indeed, some students haven't had the opportunity to attend classes in a science center since they got into college. I am glad that the wait is coming to an end, and I have high hopes for the bounties of scientific knowledge that will come out of this new building. As students, we are expected to be curious, critical, and creative when examining relevant questions. It pleases me to hear about classrooms dedicated to scientific research. I hear comments from fellow students about classrooms for animal research and how they look forward to formulating questions. I read about fellow students traveling to conferences and showing the work of their research studies. A brand new science building can only mean the revival of the sciences, more questions, experiments, and peer-review papers. I can only imagine how excited some of the faculty are about the new labs and classrooms. As scientists that they are probably eager to continue seeking new data that can improve the models and be interpreted as new conclusions. I would like to emphasize the importance of faculty. Without their support and experience, grasping these topics will be way harder. As a student, I have had the opportunity to conduct research with some of the faculty, and it was an enriching experience that made me realize that it is what I want to do with my life. During my freshman year of college in the Smith-Boyles Science Center, I had a class called Virus Hunter with former Professor Sean Coleman. It had the premise of characterizing a bacteriophage and giving it a name. Never in my life have I had the chance to do something like this, in where we could, name a living organism. And that hasn't been all. I got to do collections of bugs with former Professor Dr. Sconiers, grow crop varieties with Dr. Banskoy, go armadillo hunting with Dr. Knight, transform bacteria into green fluorescent bacteria with Dr. Warren. And I can tell you that I enjoy every single one of those moments. It was gratifying, educational, and ultimately fun. I hope that the generations to come have similar experiences with the faculty, and the Thomas and Francis Wilson Science Center facilitates their new experiences in the scientific community. Thank you to those involved in the Climb Higher campaign for students fundraiser. Thank you, Thomas and Francis Wilson, for your generous donation. I can assure you that my fellow students will make the best out of these new facilities. Thank you, the administration, Department of the University of the Ozarks, for being so diligent about getting this new project completed. The student body thanks you all for this magnificent present that will enrich our education. I am about to graduate in a few weeks, and I will be an alumni, like some of you in the public. I will get to enjoy homecoming from a different perspective and get to feel the nostalgia about coming back to college. I can tell you that I will treasure the knowledge and experiences that I have gained with the faculty and fellow students, and that I am thrilled to know about the research questions that are going to come out of right there. Thank you so much.
This time, on behalf of the Alumni Association, I would like to recognize and invite their current president, Ms. Shannon Carlisle Huggins, class of 1991. Shannon.
All right, so I'm what's between you and being able to go inside and see this wonderful building. Thank you again. I am Shannon Carlisle Huggins and the current president of the university's Alumni Association. The alumni of Ozarks are thrilled to see this new building. As has been said, most of us have had at least one class in this older building, and I personally can say how exciting it is to see the modernization that has occurred. As alumni tour this building, I have no doubt that they will smile and appreciate their being a part of this accomplishment too. A few moments I want to give you about the Alumni Association. We engage with other alumni far and wide and connect those alumni with the university and other alum. Every former student of this university is part of the alumni community. As an association, we look for ways to give back to the university, the community, as well as each other. Not by just giving treasures, as many alumni, even here today, have provided financial support for this building, but also by giving their talent and time. Helping with supply the new food pantry on the campus, as well as assisting in the facelifting of downtown Clarksville are just two of the most recent examples. Thank you again to all who have been active in funding, planning, implementation of this major undertaking. Today is the culmination of a long project, but more importantly, it is the start of a new journey for the university and its current and future students. While we have been talking about the dedication of a new building, I want to conclude by saying, as others have said before, I believe that we are really here gathered for a twofold dedication. On one hand, we have the pleasurable task of the dedication of the science building itself. But on the other hand, we have the awesome and more responsible task of dedicating ourselves to the commencement of programs that will produce a place of learning of such excellence that it will be referred to as a place where bright, curious, and ambitious students have the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically. So before we leave, the university invites you to remain where you are while we do the ribbon cutting for all to see. After the ribbon cutting, we will have student-guided tours, or you can tour the building on your own. Student-guided tours will start right over here. Thank you, Lori. Or on your program, there are QR codes that you can use in order to do a self-guided tour. There is food and drinks in the building. I'd like to say thank you to Credo for sponsoring the dessert table. I'd now like to invite Candace Rogers, Susan Edens, Alan Donabauer, President Dunsworth, to please come forward, and they will participate in the ribbon cutting. Thank you all again for coming today, and congratulations to the university for opening this fantastic building. Thank you.
That's a huge scissor.
Yes, and they're very sharp.
I'm Emily Spillers, a biology major from Scranton, Arkansas. This new building will give me the opportunity for state-of-the-art research and new experiences within the classroom. My favorite part of the building is the new cadaver in the anatomy and physiology lab. I would like to thank all the donors who have contributed to make this building possible.
My name is Benjamin Storms. I'm a biology major and chemistry minor from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm really excited to study in the new state-of-the-art science building. I'm mostly excited about the new lab and the new technology that we got in, which will help me further my research with my professors and on my own. I would also like to thank everyone who donated and contributed to making this building possible and allowing me to further my education in the biology field.